Good evening, ladies. How are you doing today? I hope everyone is enjoying their Sunday. All right. Tonight, we are going to learn another new technique. It is called ink embossing with an embossing folder. It is really a really cool technique. Let me show you a few that I've already done, just so that you can kind of get a sense of how this is going to be. So this here, hi Patty, how are you doing tonight? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so this here is the embossed side. So what is resisted is the white part. That would be the debossed. Now I'm going to show you another one where this one is embossed as well. So once we get going, you're going to see the difference. So this is debossed and this one's embossed. So this is on white paper and then this is on colored cardstock. So it gives you a whole nother effect. So we're going to get started so that you guys can see how cool this is. All right, so for our card tonight, the parts that you're going to need will be your card base. You will need a pattern piece of paper that's a very soft pattern. You don't want a bold pattern because your embossed sheet is going to be what's the bold part. So it will be a 4 by 5 1/4. You will have a colored cardstock or white cardstock because it works for both. It will work for both types of cardstock. Hi, Doris. So this will measure 3 3/4 by 5. And we're going to be using that here in just a second. And then a pattern piece that is 1 1/4 by 4 1/4. And then a couple other like little embellishment pieces that you would have. But let's get started with the technique. So I'm going to first do it on a piece of color. Hey, Marilyn, or I'm sorry, on a piece of white. Then I'm going to do it on a piece of color. And this I'm actually going to cut in half because I want to show you the difference between the debossed and the embossed side. So let's just cut this piece of paper here in half. And I'm just going to go like that. So we're going to label one embossed, and I'm going to label one debossed. And I will show you the difference. Okay, and I'm going to save that one for our technique. And I'm going to bring in another new one, though, because I think it's going to really show up. Because it is a 3D folder. And this is the new sunflower. So this is the new folder. And I was just like, I want to try this out so badly. So I'm going to grab a yellow because these are sunflowers. So I am going to grab Sundance because that's such a bold color. And I'm going to raise the camera up just a bit, because we will need to bring in our embossing folder, or our embossing machine. And I have to grab one more plate. Because this folder is a 3D folder. Okay, so here we go. What we need to do first, where you see the company, whoever makes your embossing folder, they put their logo is usually on this front side. That would mean when you put your paper in, you're going to get an embossed image. So this is the side that we're going to put our ink on. Okay? And all you're going to do is smoosh it on. Okay? That's step number 1. Step number 2, I'm going to put my paper on, and I'm going to close my folder. Okay, let's bring the machine in. And the camera is going to shake. So I will put plate 1, my embossing folder, and then plate 4. This is my Stampin' Up machine. And I'm sorry that it's all wiggly. Okay, let's move this out of our way for a second so that we could take a gander at this. So where it's embossed stayed white. The flat part that doesn't have any embossing is what turned the color. Okay, so this time we're going to ink on the opposite side, so the debossed side. So let's bring our ink back in. I should probably wipe this. So hold on, let's wipe this. And I just have water on a paper towel. That's all. Okay. Now we're going to put our ink on the opposite side. This is the side that now actually you would feel. This is more smooth, this is more bumpy. Okay. And I'm going to put my cardstock in like so. I'm going to close it up and we're going to put it into the machine. Oop, kind of need one more plate in order to help it. Okay, now let's take a gander at what this one's going to look like. So now the flower received more of the ink, and that is the debossed. So this is smoother. So what I could do with this, let's clean this for a hot second. And what I'll do after class is over tonight, I will just bring it down to my kitchen sink and give it a good quick little scrub just to make sure I get all the ink off. Okay, let me move that out of our way because I want to show you something really, really quick. So I'm going to pull this in, and this is the one that was debossed. And I'm going to grab a black ink. And take a look at that. Because the image is actually embedded into the paper. So everything that is that white is what's getting the ink. Is that not the coolest thing? Let's try with this. So this is our embossed one. So this time the flowers are actually getting more of the black versus the yellow. Isn't that amazing? Oh my gosh, it's so cool. So cool. So here is our embossed image, and that received all of the black. This is debossed, so the background is what received all of the black ink. Debossed, embossed. All right, now let's get down to business. All right, I need to wipe this before we get Blackberry Bliss all over our stuff. Okay, let's move this out of our way. And we are going to bring in, this is a close to my heart embossing folder. It is not a 3-dimensional one, so it's not going to be as vibrant. And I'm actually going to use colored cardstock. So we're going to get a different effect this time. And I'm going to put my ink on the embossing side. So this is more that smoother, so the background, not the image, the background is going to get that ink. So I'm going to bring in Blackberry Bliss. And Stampin' Up ink pads, you just blot it. You don't need to rub it because it's right there. It's the ink pad itself is raised up a bit higher than the close to my heart ink pads. And the color I'm using right now is Blackberry Bliss. Let's just make sure I got all of it. All right, I need a little bit more over here. And I'm going to give myself a little more on this side. Okay, I think we've got it. All right, and I'm going to put my cardstock down very carefully, and I'm going to close the folder. Okay, let's bring our machine back in. Now, since this is not a 3-dimensional one, I'm going to need to do my sandwich a little bit different. So I will need to do my 1, my 2, my folder, and then another 2. And then I'm going to run it through. Now, you want to make sure when you are doing an embossing folder, don't go, oh, I'm going to bring it back. No, don't bring it back, because you're going to either break your machine or you're going to break your folder. Okay, so just don't do that. And we are going to see what we get out of this. Let's open it. Oh, isn't that pretty? That is so pretty. I could have saturated it a little bit more, but it's okay. It will work for our card tonight. So let's bring in our pieces. I am using the Painted Lavender tonight for my pattern paper, my DSP. I'm looking for adhesive here. And I'm definitely not using that side because that side's a little more busy. And I'm going to place my 4 by 5 1/4. Oh yes, do not roll them back because you will A, break your machine, or B, break your embossing folder, Cindy. All right, so we're going to put our beautifully embossed piece on now. And since it is an embossed image, I want to be very generous with my adhesive to make it stick. Okay. Oh, isn't that beautiful? It's so pretty. All right, now I went with a pattern here that is 1 1/4 by 4 1/4, but it is a very soft and subtle pattern. I mean, there's a tiny bit of something going on versus the other side. The other side I felt would distract and detract from that. So that's why I was going with something that had just a little bit of that Blackberry Bliss. I'm going to lower the camera just a little for you ladies. There we go. Now, I don't know. Do I want it there? Yeah, I do, because I want some of this beautiful flower here to show. And again, I'm going to be generous because this is going on top of an embossed image. And it will go all the way across the card base. Let's get myself on a line. Let's see, that is only 1/2 of an inch. Let's go 3/4. Nope, I'm going to go 1 inch from the bottom. I'm going 1 inch from the bottom. And then I had already pre-done a little lavender bundle. And then here would be my sentiment, which I don't know what I'm going to put there. And I did bring in another little sprig. So we had another pop of color, something like that. I just have to think what kind of card I want to do. So let's see. Well, for sure I want to pop this up. So let's put a little bit of foam on this. But I'm not going to peel my backing off because I want to first get that little sprig on. And it's so much easier to tuck it when I don't have the foam backing peeled off. And this little sprig came out of the painted lavender along with the other one. Okay, let's tuck this under just like so. All right, now we can take our backing off. I'm going to put that right there. Okay, now we just have to come up with what is our little sentiment. And then this piece is a leftover from Paper Pumpkin. And I love that because you usually get one leftover per each. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm saving that. All right, let's think. What kind of sentiment could we put on that? And I don't think there was a sentiment on the lavender. Let's look. No, there was no sentiment on it. So this was the painted lavender, and this one I believe is discontinued now. Which, that's a bummer, because it is a beautiful set. All right, so let's see here. What could we use? It's not very big, so I have to go with something small. I'm not 100% sure. All right. Talks amongst yourselves, because I am looking. Okay, let's see if this will work. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Magic is everywhere, and then on the inside we can put, how about hello? How about I don't have a hello right away? All right. Let's see. Let's see if we can find one. I like celebrate. Thank you. Oh, there's a hello. All right. That'll work, and we can cut that in half. And then our sentiment doesn't have to be so long. All right, and I am going to stamp in black. Right there. And we're going to cut this in half. Just like so. And then I'm going to give it just a little bit of foam, because I'm going to tuck it. Okay, let's slide that under there. Oh, look how pretty that is. That is super pretty. All right, let's add some gems. Let's see what I have. Oh, and I actually have some purple ones. Oh, I hope his party was good, Arlene. You are gonna love this technique. Well, thanks, Doris. The colors are absolutely gorgeous. More and more and more. I'm loving the colors. Let's bring this one way up. All right, and there is our card. And we used an embossing folder with some ink to make that absolute stunning background. Isn't that great? You will want to rewatch Arlene, because then I showed how to do 2 other little things with an embossing folder. And this is that new Stampin' Up Sunflower embossing folder. And then here is the Fern embossing folder that is in, well, last time I looked, it was in the last chance section, I believe. So you're going to have to give it a whirl and then post it in the comments. I will be moving this video over to YouTube tomorrow. So you can always make a comment there, and you can post your artwork in the comments as well. Okay, just so you know. And I hope everyone's having a great rest of their Sunday, and I'm going to sign off for the evening, and I will see you all real soon. Good night.